In this video, I debunk Democrat Jasmin Crockett's erroneous lie that white supremacists commit 80% of all violent crime in this country by doing a deep dive into the FBI's data on race and homicide for the last 5 years. And I end up doing some debunking of the FBI's numbers themselves. First, let's listen to what the demon has to say for some context to the video.
And if you really want to know who the criminals are in this country, you can Google it. You don't have to trust me. But the people that commit 80% of the most violent crimes in this country are white supremacists. Yet for whatever reason, they sit and they serve at the pleasure of the president. They are the ones that were there on January 6th, tearing our democracy down physically. And now we have them tearing us down right here from within.
Fail. Pretty big fail. Pretty dumb thing to say. No. White supremacists don't commit 80% of the violence here in the United States. And actually, it's quite the opposite. Nearly. Not 80%, but about 55% are committed by 13%. Actually, to be even more refined, 55% or maybe 53% are committed by 7% of people. Pretty mind-blowing, isn't it? So these leftists will try to argue with math. They'll try to say 2 + 2 = 5. They don't believe in objective truth. Well, here is some objective truth. We're going to make them eat it. We're going to make them eat it like a baby that doesn't want to eat its baby food. And we're going to rub their noses in their messes like little dogs that peed on the carpet. You see the look in my face? That's the look I get on my face when I think about Democrats, progressives, leftists, communists, their entire denial of reality. Well, here's a reality that they cannot deny. This is the FBI statistics for the race of homicide offenders for the last 5 years. There were 44,155 black murderers, 29,913 white murderers, and a total of 98,175 homicide offenders total. There were 98,175 total murders in that 5-year period. Remember that number? That's an important number. To get the percentage of black murderers, you divide the 44,155 black murderers by the 97,175 total murderers. I meant 98,175. Then multiply that number by 100. This gives us our percentage on black murderers, which is 44%. Black men only comprise 7% of the people in the United States. 7%. So let's be honest, 7% is committing 44% of these homicides, according to the FBI. And now on to the white murderers. You divide the 29,913 white murderers by the 97,175 total murderers. I did it again. Multiply that by 100. That gives us our percentage of white murderers at 30%. And then here's a little trick. You guys notice how there isn't a designation for Hispanics? That's because Hispanic people are counted as white people. So when a Hispanic person commits a murder, that offender is counted as a white murderer for the FBI statistics.
And let me tell you that even FBI discriminates against European Americans in the way they report crime statistics. The FBI has a classification of perpetrator of a crime and victim of a crime. So pay attention to this difference. They classify perpetrators of crimes as white, black, or other. 90% of Hispanics are put into the white perpetrator category. So any crime committed by Hispanic, 90% of the time will appear as a white crime. Now, the FBI does know the difference between Hispanic and white because on the victim side of it, they have black victims, white victims, and Hispanic victims. So they know the difference. This is what strange thing can happen. They can call it an interracial crime when a Hispanic assaults another Hispanic. because 90% of the time the Hispanic perpetrator will be called white and the victim is Hispanic.
But if you look to the right, there's a tab for homicide offender ethnicity. Click on it. That gives us our Hispanic number, which I have to say is clearly undercounted. Most studies find that Hispanics commit around 25% of homicides. This is 10,830. So if you're a good, honest person, you do what any good, honest person would do. You don't lie with the math. You subtract that group of Hispanic murderers from the white murderers, 29,913 minus 10,830. That leaves us with 19,083 white murderers. Once again, if you divide 19,083 by 98,175, times that by 100, that gives us our percentage. Newly revised. White people only make up 19% of all homicide offenders. So you know what, Jasmin Crockett? You can eat it with your lying ass. Then we run into the problem of the murders where the race of the offender wasn't known or specified. And when you combine these two, 22,019 murders where the race of the offender isn't known. And I had an epiphany, but it was something I instinctually knew. I simply deduced that the unknown murderers' races would more than likely mirror the demographics of the known murderers' races. And given that these unsolved murders would likely span the entire country, I can hypothesize that the races of the unknown murderers can be proportioned the same as the known murderers. So what is 44% of 22,019? That's 9,688 unknown murderers who are more than likely black. And you add that to the 44,155, and we now have 53,843 black murderers. Once again, you divide that 53,843 by the 98,175 total murderers, you multiply that number by 100, and we have the revised 54%. So 54% of homicide offenders are black. Then you do the same process with the prior white murderer statistics. Multiply the 22,019 unsolved murderers by the percentage of known white murderers, and we get an additional 4,183 likely white murderers who we then add to the 19,083, leaving us with 23,266 white murderers. And we're just going to plug that in because you guys should know your laws of averages by now. And that leaves us with 23% of all murder offenders in the last 5 years were white. White, non-Hispanic, 58 to 59% of the population. Hispanic or Latino, 19 to 20%. Black or African American, 12 to 13%. Whites, who are 60% of the population, commit 23% of the murders. Latinos' numbers are obviously inaccurate, and they're counted as white anyways. And blacks, who make up a mere 13% of the population, commit 54% of all homicides. Yeah, them statistics are pretty insane. The score's not even close. But you know what I found super fascinating? I found the fact that I discovered a mathematical theory or a mathematical law. I believe a mathematical theory. You know, in my approximation of the unknown murder perpetrators and their ethnicity. That was pretty insightful, I think. I'm kind of proud of myself. Well, I was so interested by that, and I knew that it was like a theory or a principle, that I actually looked it up. I asked, what is the mathematical principle where one is to assume that an unknown quantity's proportions are the same as the known quantity's proportions based upon the even distribution of the entire sample size? Grok got the wrong theory. I asked again, but there is evidence pointing to the proportionality of the unknown quantity to the known quantity due to the fact that I know the numbers are evenly distributed in my sample size. Grok got it this time. The principle you're describing, where there's a positive evidence such as randomness or uniform distribution in the overall population sample, supporting the assumption that the unknown portion follows the same proportions as the known portions, is known as the proportional imputation or hot deck imputation, specifically assuming homogeneity or representativeness across the data set. Application of homicide statistics. Analysts frequently use this method for FBI supplementary homicide reports or expanded homicide data, where offender race ethnicity is unknown in 30 to 50% of cases, often unsolved homicides. The standard approach assumes the unknown offenders follow the same on the premise that clearance rates and thus known cases are reasonably uniform or representative across groups and absent strong contrary evidence. And there we go. The cold, unvarnished truth. Taken down like paint thinner. Very bitter, I know, guys. I know that hurt, libs. I know that hurt, progs. And I'm glad it did, because you people need to be shocked. There has to be some kind of resuscitation to try to keep you alive mentally, spiritually. I don't know, though. You guys might be hopeless. But as long as we can counter your lies with the truth, like this video was meant to do, then hopefully society survives the tumor that is your movement, right? Anyways, I'm going to end this video now. I just thought you guys would think it was kind of cool how... to watch me geek out, like, I don't think I've gotten as into, like, a mathematical question for my own purposes like that in a very long time. That was very fun. I really enjoyed it. But that's something you guys can do as well. There's nothing stopping you from employing the exact same equations to do research on what you want to do research on, Anyways, guys, I'm going to end this now. God bless you. God bless America. Good day for now.